You're sitting at dinner with your friends, and someone casually says, "Yeah, we just booked 2 weeks in Portugal." And instead of being happy for them, your stomach drops. Not because you're a bad person, not because you're jealous exactly. It's this quiet voice that says, "Why can't I do that? What am I doing wrong?" And then you do what you always do. You smile, you nod, you say, "That's amazing." And then you go home, open your banking app, stare at the number, and feel this wave of something. It's not anger. It's not sadness. It's shame. Pure, quiet, financial shame. And here's what nobody tells you. That feeling, it's not just uncomfortable. It's literally keeping you broke. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of why people stay stuck with money. If you're someone who feels like you're doing everything right, but your bank account doesn't reflect it, or you've ever avoided opening a bill because the anxiety was too much, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're going to break down something that almost nobody in the finance space talks about. Not budgets, not index funds, not side hustles. We're going to talk about shame and how it's quietly the most expensive emotion you'll ever experience. So let's start here. What is money shame really? Look, we all know what shame feels like in general. It's that heavy, sinking feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with you. Not that you made a mistake, that you are the mistake. And when you attach that feeling to money, it becomes incredibly destructive. Here's the thing. A 2023 study from the Financial Health Network found that 47% of Americans said that thinking about their financial situation makes them anxious. But here's the part that blew my mind. 34% said they actively avoid looking at their bank accounts or financial statements altogether. Think about that. 1 in 3 people are financially flying blind. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because looking at their money makes them feel so bad about themselves that avoidance becomes a survival mechanism. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because avoidance doesn't just mean you're not looking at the numbers. It means you're not negotiating your salary. You're not opening that investment account. You're not having the money conversation with your partner. You're not asking for the raise. Every act of avoidance has a price tag, and those price tags compound. Now you might be thinking, okay, Nick, but I don't feel shame about money. I just don't love my financial situation. And I hear you. But let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever lied about how much something cost? Either made it sound cheaper so people don't think you're irresponsible, or made it sound more expensive so people think you're doing better than you are? Have you ever felt a physical reaction, like your chest tightening, when someone asks what you do for a living? Because you feel like your job title doesn't sound impressive enough? Have you ever avoided a social event because you knew it would cost money you didn't have, but you made up a different excuse? Yeah, that's money shame. And here's where it starts. For most people, it goes all the way back to childhood. A study published in the Journal of Financial Therapy found that the money scripts we develop before the age of 12 predict our financial behaviors as adults with uncomfortable accuracy. If you grew up hearing things like, "We can't afford that," "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "Rich people are greedy," those weren't just offhand comments from your parents. Those became your operating system. Your brain absorbed those messages and turned them into rules. Money is scarce. Wanting more makes you greedy. You're not the kind of person who has money. And now you're 32, making $55,000 a year. And you can't figure out why you freeze every time you think about investing. It's not a knowledge gap. It's an identity gap. You literally don't believe at a subconscious level that wealth is for you. Let me make this tangible, because I think people underestimate how expensive this emotion actually is. Let's take two people, same job, same income, $60,000 a year. Person A has a relatively healthy relationship with money. Person B carries deep financial shame. Person A negotiates their salary when they get hired. Research from Carnegie Mellon found that people who negotiate their starting salary earn an average of $5,000 more per year than those who don't. Over a 10-year career, with even modest raises, that's roughly $70,000 to $100,000 in lost income for person B, just from not negotiating once. But it doesn't stop there. Person A opens a Roth IRA at 25 and starts putting in $200 a month. Nothing crazy. Person B knows they should invest, but keeps saying, "I'll start when I have more money," which is really code for "I'll start when I feel like I deserve to." By 45, person A has roughly $130,000 in that account, assuming a 7% average annual return. Person B has zero. Not because they couldn't afford $200 a month, but because shame told them they weren't ready. Person A checks their credit score, sees it's not great, and works on improving it. Person B avoids it entirely. When they both go to buy a home, person A gets a 6.5% mortgage rate. Person B, because of the credit score they've been ignoring, gets 7.8%. On a $300,000 home with a 30-year mortgage, that difference in interest rate costs person B over $95,000 in additional interest payments over the life of the loan. Let me add that up. Lost salary negotiations, missed investment growth, higher loan costs. We're looking at somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 in lifetime wealth that person B loses. Not because they weren't smart enough, not because they didn't work hard enough, because shame made them avoid, delay, and hide. That's the tax bracket you're stuck in, not because of the IRS, because of the story you're telling yourself. Here's what most people don't realize. Shame doesn't just cause one bad decision. It creates a cycle that feeds itself. It works like this. Step 1, you feel shame about your financial situation. Step 2, you avoid dealing with money. Don't check accounts, don't budget, don't invest. Step 3, because you're avoiding, your financial situation gets worse. Step 4, your situation getting worse gives you more to feel ashamed about. Step 5, repeat. This is why people can go years, sometimes decades, without ever looking at their retirement account, without ever making a financial plan, without ever having an honest conversation about money with the people closest to them. And here's the part that makes me a little frustrated, honestly. The financial industry makes this worse. Think about every financial ad you've ever seen. It's some guy in a suit on a yacht, or a couple laughing in their gorgeous kitchen while they review their perfectly organized portfolio on a tablet. The message is clear. Financial success looks like this. If your life doesn't look like this, you're failing. So you're sitting in your apartment, eating leftover rice, looking at your $3,400 in savings, and you feel like you're not even in the game. The shame deepens. The avoidance continues. But here's the truth they don't show in those commercials. The median American household has about $8,000 in savings. If you have $3,400, you're not a failure. You're actually closer to normal than you think. But shame doesn't care about medians and averages. Shame whispers, it's not enough. You're not enough. Okay, so now that we understand what this is and how it works, How do you actually break out of it? Because understanding the problem is important, but you came here for solutions. So let's get into it. Number one, look at your numbers, all of them, once. I'm not asking you to become a spreadsheet person overnight. I'm asking you to sit down one time for 30 minutes and write down 4 things: what you earn, what you owe, what you spend, and what you own. That's it. Here's the thing. The number is never as bad as the feeling. I've talked to hundreds of people about this, and almost every single one of them said the same thing after they finally looked. Oh, okay. It's not great, but it's not what I was imagining. Shame thrives in the dark. The second you put a number on paper, you take away its power. It goes from this looming, terrifying monster to just a math problem. And math problems have solutions. Number 2, separate your identity from your account balance. This sounds like therapy talk, and honestly, maybe it is, but it's critical. You are not your net worth. You are not your credit score. You are not the balance in your checking account on the 28th of the month. Your financial situation is a condition, not a character trait. It's something that's happening, not something you are. And conditions can be changed. The moment you stop saying, I'm bad with money, and start saying, I haven't learned the right money skills yet, that's not just positive thinking. That's a fundamentally different relationship with the problem. One keeps you stuck. The other opens the door. Number 3, start so small it feels almost stupid. Here's where most financial advice fails people with money shame. They say, invest 20% of your income or build a 6-month emergency fund. And for someone who's been avoiding their bank account for 2 years, that might as well be climb Everest by Thursday. No. Start with $20. Set up an automatic transfer of $20 a week into a separate savings account. That's it. Now, you might be thinking, $20 a week? That's nothing. That won't change my life. And purely mathematically, you're right. That's about $1,000 a year. But here's what that $20 actually does. It proves to your brain that you are a person who saves money. It starts rewriting the identity. It breaks the shame cycle, not with a grand gesture, but with a whisper of evidence that says, maybe I can do this. After a few months of that, you bump it to $30, then $50. Then you open that investment account you've been avoiding. The momentum builds, but it starts with stupid small. Number 4, talk about money with one person you trust. A 2024 survey by Fidelity found that 44% of Americans would rather discuss their own death than their finances. Let that sink in. We'd literally rather talk about dying than talk about our 401k. Money shame survives because of silence. The moment you say to a friend, a partner, a sibling, hey, I'm stressed about money, and I don't really know what I'm doing, something shifts. Because I guarantee they're going to say, yeah, me too. Money shame makes you feel like you're the only one struggling. You're not. Not even close. And the act of just saying it out loud strips away so much of its power. Number 5, unfollow the noise. If your social media is full of 23-year-olds showing off their Lamborghinis and telling you that you're broke because you're not hustling hard enough, that's not motivation. That's a shame trigger. Curate your inputs. Follow people who normalize the journey, not just the destination. Follow people who talk about money mistakes, not just money wins. Your brain needs to see evidence that building wealth is messy, slow, and imperfect, because it is. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. This video isn't going to fix your finances overnight. No video can. But if you've been carrying this weight, this feeling that you're behind, that you're broken, that everyone else figured it out except you, I need you to hear this. The fact that you watched this far means you're already doing something most people won't. You're looking at the problem. You're sitting with the discomfort instead of running from it. That takes more courage than most people will ever understand. Money shame tells you that you're stuck, that you'll always be in this tax bracket, this paycheck cycle, this level of stress. But shame is not a financial advisor. It's a liar. The math doesn't care about your past. Compound interest doesn't care that you started late. The market doesn't care that you grew up broke. The only thing that matters is what you do from this moment forward. So here's what I want you to do. Today, not tomorrow, not next Monday, today, open your banking app. Look at the number. Whatever it is, accept it. That's your starting point. Not your identity, your starting point. And if this video helped shift something for you, even a little, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who might need to hear it. Because chances are, someone in your life is carrying this same shame in silence. I'll see you in the next one.